Good evening, YouTube. Duty Ron back after a 3 or 4 day hiatus. I am back on a live. Thank you for joining my video. We are going to talk about Junior, justice for Junior. That is Lesandro Guzman Feliz. This is a 15-year-old young boy who was killed almost 1 year to the date by a rival gang in the Bronx, New York. Hello, Joey Brooklyn, first one in. Good to see you, Joe. How are you, my brother from another mother? Good to see you, Joe. Thank you for joining. So yeah, this is a tough case. This is a tough case to talk about because anybody who has children, this hits really close to home. This hits really close to home, guys. Very sad situation with this young boy who is also an aspiring explorer. He was in the Explorer program for the NYPD. Hello, Meg. Good to see you. How are you? Long time no see. It's been a long 4 days. Hi, Caitlin. Good to see you. Thanks for joining, guys. Thank you, one and all, for coming on in. If you guys don't mind, invite on social media. Let's get the word out. Justice has been served for Junior. Justice for Junior. This is a high-profile case. Cardi B and a bunch of the people in the entertainment field got involved in this. It's really a difficult case to talk about. Hello, Caitlin. Hello, Aween. Good to see you. Mick Jagger, Deco, Paint, and Tea. Good to see you. Hello, Spirit Vox. Thank you for coming in from Scotland. Good to see you. Spirit Paranormal Dundee. Good to see you guys. Thank you for joining. We are talking about the Justice for Junior case. Today, 5 of the gang members who were responsible for this poor 15-year-old boy's murder in a case of mistaken identity were charged and convicted today of first and second degree murder. So I have all the details for you guys, and I will go over that. Black Rose, good to see you. Sorry to hear about a shooting by you. I hope there's not many people injured by this shooting, and I'm sending out prayers and positive vibes your way. So great to see you. Hello. Good to see you, Kick. Good to see you, Kick. Thanks for joining. So anybody here in the room has not heard of this case, Justice for Junior, that is Lesandro Guzman Feliz. Anybody here hasn't heard of him? If you can Google this case after I'm done, and you'll see there's so much information about it. But I'm gonna show you guys a bunch of videos, and we're gonna talk about the horrific crime that happened to this poor young boy who is, like I said, an aspiring NYPD explorer. He wanted to be a New York City police detective, and that's the sad part about it, is that this kid wanted to become a police officer, and he was in the program. Hello, Dr. D. Good to see you. Thanks for joining. He was in the Explorer program. He was going to be, he wanted to become a New York City detective. And his life was cut short by local Trinitarios gang members. Very sad situation. Very sad situation. So yeah, this has been all over the news today. This has been all over on the news today. It's breaking news, and justice has been served for his mother, for his family. I'm just so happy that his parents can find a little bit of closure in regards to this. But like I said, this was a young 15-year-old handsome boy who was a great kid in school. He was in the New York City Police Department Explorer program, and he was, by all means, a model citizen. Good to see you, Ramona White Alvarado. Good to see you. Thank you for joining, Aaron. By all means, this kid was a straight A student in school. He was in the Explorer program, as I stated, and he was going to be a police officer. And I have no doubt in my mind he was a good boy by all the things that I've heard from so many different news reports in regards to him. So Justice for Junior has been served today. I'm thankful. I give thanks to the NYPD detectives who worked tirelessly on this case, the Bronx District Attorney's Office, They did a great job in prosecuting these defendants. There was a total of 15 gang members that attacked this young boy on a Bronx street, and there's video footage. And just as a disclaimer, if there's anybody here that's squeamish, that does not take well to viewing a little bit of video here that I'm going to show, I'm not going to show much of it, but it's going to show clips of this boy being dragged outside of a bodega. It doesn't show him actually being stabbed, but the medical examiner's office, the autopsy shows that he died from a puncture wound. They punctured his neck with a knife on the right side, and it came out on the left. So he died from a puncture wound of a knife in his neck. It went in on the right side and came out the left. And that's what he died of. All the other stab wounds and gashes on his body, his defensive wounds on his hands from trying to stop them from stabbing and slashing him, he could have survived that. And the medical examiner said if he received immediate medical attention by placing pressure on the wound and transported straight to the hospital without him, he ran 2 blocks to the hospital with proper rendered medical aid. He could have survived that puncture wound that went straight from his neck. It sliced his jugular and went through the back of his throat and out the other side. The medical examiner said that there was a possibility that he could have survived that. So I agree, Subtle. Definitely cowards. 5 convicted. The other 9 will stand trial, and they will get convicted as well. He tried to run to the hospital because they called 911, and the ambulance wasn't coming quick enough, and he was that gravely wounded. So, so he took it upon himself to run to the hospital, and that was probably not a good thing to do. So, like I said, when you have those type of injuries where you're bleeding internally and you start running, that's the worst possible thing that you could do. So if, God forbid, any of us find ourselves shot or stabbed, the worst thing that you can do is try to run, because if you run, it's pumping blood twice as fast into your extremities, and you can die from your lungs filling up with blood. So thank you, Lily Bell. Good to see you. I hope you're feeling well. Great to see you over in Australia. That's my good friend Lily Bell right there. Everyone, please give a subscribe to Lily Bell Joy, Joey Brooklyn, Erin Leahy, M. Lowe, all my great friends from all around the world. Hello, Edwin Vasquez. Good to see you. Good to see you from the finest police department in Philadelphia. Great to see you, my friend. So, this is a 15-year-old boy, Sheila and company. This is a young boy, and it's tragic that this had to happen. Great to see you, all my great friends over in the state of Texas. Kathy, Dylan, Duty Blue. Prayers going out to the Wilco and Fort Worth PD. I'm trying to stay on topic. I definitely saw that message. Thamer, good to see you. Salam, my Muslim brother from Saudi Arabia. I'm just going to share a community post real quick. If you give me 2 seconds, just talk amongst yourselves. I'll go right back into it. I've got a slew of video to show you guys on this case. I have a slew of video to show you guys. So just so you know, in the first 5 convictions here, in regards to Junior Lesandro Guzman, also known as Junior, Justice for Junior, the first 5 convictions, you'll be obviously happy to know that the defendant, the savage beast that plunged that knife through the right side of his neck and came out the left, he was convicted of 1st degree, 2nd degree, and conspiracy. They're never going to see the light of day. They're going to be in jail without the possibility of parole. Their sentencing will be July 16th. So we'll be looking at their sentencing July 16th. But the piece of crap who plunged the knife, the fatal blow, into this poor kid's neck was convicted. So that's the good part of it. And my New York City Police Homicide Squad, I got to give props to the homicide detectives who worked this case tirelessly. They worked this case tirelessly. They had to extradite, I think, 4 out of 5 criminals in this case from Paterson, New Jersey. They had to work with Paterson PD to extradite these pieces of crap, lowlifes, gang members. And they had to extradite these guys back to New York. And I've got to say, good to see you, Josh. Thank you for joining. I got to say, there are two star witnesses that the district attorney in the Bronx utilized, and 2 of the witnesses were Trinitario gang members. Kevin Alvarez was the star witness for the defense, for the prosecution, and Sosa Reyes was also a witness. So 2 out of 15 stepped up to the plate. Sosa Reyes left the country after this murder took place and went to the Dominican Republic. Shocking. He went to the Dominican Republic, and he went to his mother in the Dominican Republic, Sosa Reyes. You'll see him on the video, and his mother instructed him to go back and turn himself in, and he did. He went back to New York, came back from the Dominican Republic on his mother's word, and turned himself in to the New York City Police Department and became a witness. And he has confirmed that this testimony, he has been in protective custody. These two gang members who have turned on their buddies, they're both in protective custody, but you can't be in protective custody your whole life. So unfortunately, I feel that they will meet their maker, and their own gang members will wind up killing these guys because they're not being charged at all. They're not being charged at all. And take into consideration these 2 who have testified were there that night. They did chase Junior down. They chased him down, but at no point in any of the video you'll see did they stab him or do anything to him. As a matter of fact, this one defendant and turned witness, Sosa Reyes, you see him in the video, and he knew Junior and Junior's sister from a party, I think the night before. He saw him at a party, and when he looked over the counter and saw it was Junior, he got disgusted and walked out and left and didn't do anything. So Sosa Reyes, you'll see he's wearing a Arizona Diamondbacks baseball hat. He walks out, and he walks out of the bodega and does not do anything. So he was targeted because they thought he was a rival gang member from a rival gang, Sunset. It was, the name of the gang was called the Sunset Gang, and it was a rival gang, and they had a picture of a guy that they were targeting, that they wanted to kill, and he looked just like him. And so it was a case of mistaken identity, Aaron. It was a case of mistaken identity. So if you guys don't mind, please share out the broadcast. Exactly, Sheila. A mistaken identity in the worst way. The New York City Police Department was with the family throughout this whole ordeal. And I got to tell you, I watched all the funeral and I watched the funeral. I watched all of the footage, and the NYPD was there. They gave him, a hero's goodbye, and was standing by the family the whole way. Was this teen shot last year? No, he was not shot. He was not shot. There was no criminal charges, Tabitha, against the bodega owner. As a matter of fact, he was very remorseful. He did the best that he could. Just understand, there was 15 gang members in his bodega, he was towing, walking a tightrope. He could have been killed himself. So this is an easy Monday morning quarterback situation. You know, I'm trying to stay on topic, everybody here. I'm trying to talk about this case. I get that there's other things going on, but I can't go into talking about everything that's going on in the world right now. And my prayers go out to everyone that's affected in Texas, and for Black Rose, officer shot the suspect, shooting in the Costco happening now. Okay, I get it. I understand. Thank you for sharing that with us, and our hearts go out to all the brave men and women who do the job as a police officer. They're there 365 days a year. I know because I did the job, so it's difficult at best. But I'm going to just try to stay on topic here, and we're going to cover this case. I'm going to go to a little bit of a video, and you guys can talk amongst yourselves. These videos here are not in any particular order, but they definitely are not in any particular order. But I'm going to try to give you guys the best. I'm going to try to give you guys the best that I can give you on this case. So, also too, this Dominican situation with more tourists being killed and poisoned has just got me crazy. It's got me going crazy right now. So here's one of my first videos. Here's a first. Let's go down to let's go to this one. Let's see what this is right here. All right, this is going to be the bodega footage, guys. If anybody's squeamish here, or if this is a 3-minute video. If anybody's squeamish, or if anybody does not like to see what's going on with this case, but this is going to give you a background on what happened to this poor young kid. So I'm going to play this. I'm going to roll this tape here. So if you guys aren't up to seeing anything like this, I would suggest that you kind of exit stage left
guys.
at this point.
We are in the area where
hold on a second. Let me do this. All right, here we go.
Now we're here to start the second in Bathgate Avenue in the Belmont section of the Bronx. So for much of the day, we were very busy in the courtroom keeping up with all the testimony from Detective Francis Orlando, who works with Bronx Homicide. Now, let me show you the latest thing first. When we left court today, a little bit after 4 o'clock, Junior's parents pretty much said they wanted to talk to the media. They were facing a pack of reporters and cameras. That's the shot that I got outside. There's a breezeway at the side of the Bronx County Hall of Justice. Junior's parents, Leandro Feliz and Lesandro Guzman, asked to speak to reporters. Normally, we don't really talk to them after testimony at trial. They're usually led away by court officers and detectives from the NYPD, but today they asked to speak to reporters. And part of it was because it was very compelling what they had to watch today. You know, I know that they've seen over and over again those surveillance videos that showed Junior being dragged from the bodega to his deadly fate on the sidewalk. It's very difficult for parents to have to watch something like that. Today, they watched freeze frames of the same episode, basically different moments trying to establish which suspect was where on the sidewalk. There was one point where allegedly it was Jose Muniz in a white tank top outside the door where Junior was dragged out, and you see Junior grabbing at the door jamb, trying to save himself so that he doesn't have to get dragged out onto the sidewalk. He knows what awaits him will be terrible. So I was sitting behind Leandra Feliz, Junior's mother, when she was watching these freeze frames, and at one point she literally doubled over because she's not supposed to show emotion in court. She's not supposed to distract the jury, but she could not contain herself. It was very hard to watch. When the parents left court, first we saw Junior's father, and one of the Spanish language TV reporters asked him a question about how difficult it was to watch those freeze frames. And then the reporter, Alberto Rulan from Channel 47, he translated for me into English what the father had said. And we also spoke briefly to Junior's mother. Here's a clip.
¿Cuán difícil es escuchar lo que está ocurriendo dentro de la corte?
Es bien difícil lo que estamos escuchando porque son algo que uno está reviviendo de nuevo otra vez, lo que ya nosotros hemos visto todo, y algo bien doloroso para todos y para la familia y para todos. Esto ya, quiero ya que termine esto ya pronto.
¿Cuán difícil fue este día de madre para Leandra?
Bien mal también, porque sabe, como madre al fin es bien doloroso para ella también, para todos. Thank you.
It was very difficult for him, like reliving everything that they already seen in these videos, seeing it now in court. And I asked him how difficult for his wife was this past Mother's Day, and it was horrible.
This is my torture. This is my torture. This is so very difficult. That's why I don't want to see it. I put my head down. I don't want to look at the videos. I don't want to see it.
Well, as I mentioned earlier, Junior's mother was literally doubled over with emotion at one point when she was looking at some of those freeze frames of the scene where her son was attacked. And I would like to address one thing about the case, which is all about Junior, who was only 15 years old when he was killed. What I'd like to address are some comments that I received on Instagram. A couple of people were upset when I asked the parents, was it difficult to watch the scenes today shown in court? Usually they don't speak after court, and we don't ask them questions. We're very respectful to the parents, and I think it's a mutually respectful relationship. So I just want to explain that when they said they wanted to talk, we had to keep our questions very brief. So I had been sitting behind Junior's mother. I noticed it was difficult for her to watch that one particular freeze frame of Jose Muniz with her son at the door, so I did ask her if it was difficult. We try to be as informative as we can. A lot of people around the world care about Junior's mother and father. I know Junior's mother in particular gets messages from people around the world. She gets gifts. She knew about the case. So let me sort of recap what happened today. The first suspect that was talked about was Jose
here's going to come
Muniz.
some of the clips
And the prosecutor put some freeze frames alleging that he is the person in the white tank top who was walking down East 183rd Street on the way toward the bodega on Bathgate Avenue. So a still photo of this was put into evidence. And this is something we brought you last September when we had access to some of the Junior files. So the detective, Francis Orlando, was saying, you know, he was led to believe that Jose Muniz is the one that was wearing the tank top. And then his mugshot was also entered into evidence, and there was a photo array that was shown to the jury. The next suspect that was spoken about, you've heard a lot about him, Joe Nike Martinez Estrella. You know, it's alleged that he plunged the knife into Junior's neck at the end of the attack. Well, the prosecution is saying he's the guy that was wearing the red T-shirt and a red Chicago Bulls hat at the beginning of the encounter by the bodega, but they're saying that by the time Junior was stabbed, that he had a white shirt on, he had taken off the red shirt, and allegedly that's him running away on the sidewalk with the red hat on. But we're going to loop it one more time. You know, prosecution says he had a red shirt on first, but then a white shirt underneath that when the stabbing actually took place. All right, let me go on to the next suspect that they talked about, Manuel Rivera. Now, he was only 18 years old when this happened. They showed some footage of him on the scene with brown hair, allegedly. They're saying this shows him in a beauty salon the next night, June 21st, 2018, and they're saying that by the time he was arrested, he had this yellow hair. That's the way Detective Francis Orlando described it. Starting out with brown hair, getting it dyed 24 hours later to yellow hair in a hair salon. And then you see in this montage of suspects that he does have very bright yellow hair. When he was taken into custody by the police a few days later, the detective said that a number of the suspects were found at an alleged Trinitarios hideout in New Jersey, but some of them were grabbed here in New York, and one of them was even grabbed in Connecticut weeks after this happened. The last suspect that a lot of imagery was shown for today, Elvin Garcia. And they were saying that he was wearing a white shirt and a white pair of shorts and a dark covering over his face. And they're saying that he was right there on the sidewalk. That's what the prosecution alleges. The defense was going into sidebars with the judge. They were upset about the way these pictures were going into evidence, but they will have a chance to cross-examine Detective Orlando when testimony resumes on Thursday. Also, there was
this
one
perpetrator
point when
got stabbed by his own
Detective
guys
Orlando was
in his
asked by the
hand.
prosecutor
One of his guys
if
that was
there was
stabbing
another
at this
image
poor
that's
kid
seen on one of the
stabbed him
photos
right
under
through his
Elvin
hand.
Garcia, and he
Stab
said
went-
there was a
the
second
knife went
individual
straight through the
who was wearing
center
a
of his
hood.
hand, right out
Now,
through
what
the
the
top.
prosecution is trying to suggest is that that person is the fifth suspect in this murder one case. They're saying it was Antonio Rodriguez Hernandez Santiago that was wearing a hood, but it's very hard to see his image on the poster that I saw, and his lawyer asked the detective, in fact, is that image not blurry?
They all got convicted of murder.
And the
So
prosecution
these guys are
objected
all
because it
in
wasn't a
jail with
formal
no
cross-examination
possibility of parole for the
at
rest
that
of their
point.
lives, these five.
Near the end of the day, the prosecutor took pains to ask Detective Orlando about
Thank you,
the
Black
age
Rose.
of the suspects when this attack happened. You know, the victim, Junior, was only 15 years old, and the detective replied Jonaike was 22, Jose Muniz was 21, Antonio was 24, Elvin was 23. She did not mention Manuel Rivera, who was the youngest at that time. He was 18 years old. So one other thing that came out today in court very early in the testimony
agreed, Kelly
from
Bell.
Detective Orlando, he was talking about finding Junior's shoes on the street. And for the first time, we heard the exact location where Junior's sandals were found during the run. I'm told that he ran for at least 5 blocks from an area near Dioria Murphy Triangle, which is close to Adams Place. I was told the chase went on a long time. And today, the detective testified that investigators found a pair of
15
black
years old.
Nike
It's just such a
sandals
sin.
on
Tragedy.
East 184th Street and Hoffman Avenue, and those were said to be Junior's sandals that he was wearing when he was running for his life, and he literally ran out of his sandals. You've heard me say that before. So there wasn't an enormous amount of testimony today, including some testimony about other suspects that will be featured in the second trial. Allegedly, that was one of the getaway cars. If we don't have the picture, we can show. This is from today. Okay, this is a black Acura that was on the scene that night. And I believe the prosecutor is trying to establish that that was one of the 4 getaway cars used to chase Junior, initially chase him, and then used for these suspects to get away. Now, I have some footage that I showed you on Friday night showing a number of cars. And I want to show it again because there were some freeze frames showed today, which I don't have, but when you see the gray Honda, the freeze frame that was showed today, the prosecution is alleging that Elvin Garcia got into that gray Honda in the rear seat that's behind the driver.
These are the cars as they rolled up on
basically,
the bodega.
the other day
That
when the
was,
DNA expert
that
was
was
on the
live
criminal list
video of
from the
them
medical
coming up.
examiner's office, he said that
There's a
Elvin
fingerprint
Garcia's
right on the
DNA,
windshield.
his blood, was found in 2 different cars. One of them was a 2011 white Acura, where Junior's blood was found on the door in the back, and Garcia's blood was found on a seat in the back of the white Acura. But now today it was established that Garcia allegedly was seen getting into the back of the gray Honda behind the driver, and we know from testimony that there was blood found on the back seat of the gray Honda as well, tied to Garcia. So a lot of new information came out today in court. The other suspects that were mentioned were, as I just said, Gabriel Ramirez. They're trying to tie him to maybe having the black Acura that was used as one of the 4 cars that night. And they also mentioned Jose Tavares. They also mentioned Danelle.
And of course, the images
This is from today,
of
guys.
Junior's
This is news
death
from today.
are very disturbing, and we are not going to show the most graphic parts of that killing. However, the surveillance video of that crime is what jurors said they needed to see today in order to achieve full justice. This is what it came down to today. Within minutes after starting to deliberate, jurors asked to see, in slow motion actually, Junior Guzman Feliz being dragged out of the Cruz and Chiqui bodega the night of June 20th last year. Jurors now try to determine which of the 5 men accused of killing Junior is guilty of which crimes. They may find that all 5 are guilty of every charge they face. The most serious is murder, first degree. If jurors conclude the attackers intended to kill Junior,
the guy with the red shirt with that big knife, that's the knife that he plunged into his neck.
On murder one. Murder second degree is if the men killed
I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back.
And that they tortured him
right here.
Junior, and that they tortured.
And then this is him with his shirt off after he already stuck the knife in his neck. You can actually see him taking the knife away. Here you see him taking. This is
include the attackers intended
right here.
To
See this knife in his hand? It's huge.
They tortured him in the process. They're instructed to convict on murder one.
Right there is he.
Tortured him in the process. They're instructed to convict that they tortured him in the process, and that they tortured him in the process, and that they tortured him in the process. They're instructed to convict on murder
Freaking
one.
Animal.
Murder second degree is if the men killed recklessly with indifference for Junior's life. Manslaughter is causing Junior's death while trying to inflict serious injury to him. They also face gang assault and conspiracy.
So here's the charges. So those are all the charges that they were convicted of right there.
A man who bystandered. They also face gang assault and conspiracy charges. A man who bystanders shouted at last summer, Kevin Alvarez, was part of Junior's killing. But Alvarez is now a witness for prosecutors. Another member of the Trinitarios, Michael Reyes, also testified for prosecutors.
This is the guy who cooperated.
Jurors today
right here.
Asked for and got those men's testimony.
This dark-skinned guy with the hat there, he cooperated and was instrumental in getting convictions on all these guys.
And jurors will reconvict attackers intended to kill Junior or them with a focus on whether.
This guy right here. This guy right here in the middle. His name is Kevin Alvarez or Sosa Reyes, I believe it. I think it's Kevin Alvarez. He testified against the gang members. He's in witness protection. And he never touched Junior.
Only scare and rough him up.
He was the one that said that he saw him at a party the night before.
Jurors will reconvene here at the Bronx County Hall of Justice tomorrow at 10 a.m. The first full day of deliberations, and the judge did let them know that they can issue a verdict for each of the 5 defendants or one big verdict for all 5 at once. That is up to the jurors. So we could have some sort of verdict as soon as tomorrow. We'll stay on it, of course, right up to the minute, reporting live from the Bronx.
No, he was an explorer. He was 15 years old, and he was going through the Explorer program, which consisted of him having to go to school and then work as a cadet. So he was not a peace officer at that time. Let me just. Okay, let me just show you this from CBS.
Bureau.
This is the Bronx District Attorney here.
I want to commend my Homicide Bureau, the assistant DAs that tried the case, Morgan Dolan and Masa Marabashi, for their diligence, their dedication, and effort that they put into this case. And I'd like to thank NYPD, the detectives of the Homicide Bureau, the detectives of the 48th Precinct, and all of the members of NYPD that helped in the investigation. Junior came to symbolize all of the young people who have lost their lives to brutal gang violence. Today's verdict fortifies the Bronx community's stand against violence. Bronx residents came together nearly a year ago to aid in the apprehension of the defendants and to have supported the family of Junior. We are here for the family as we move forward, and we
Frank Jr. was Hispanic.
Excuse me.
He wasn't black.
We stand here with the family. I stand here with the family, and we look forward to ending the violence in the Bronx, and hopefully we'll have more peace in the Bronx for days to come. Thank you. Junior's parents are here now.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone.
This is his mom now.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I want to say thank you for everyone
This is the mom and dad.
Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, God. We have to continue believing God. I won't gonna have my son back, but those killers, those murderers, they weren't gonna be outside killing another kid. We had to stop the violence, and we need to have to save city. Thank you very much.
Sí, buenas tardes. Muchas gracias le doy a Dios, igualmente a ustedes, a los fiscales, a la policía, a todos. Y le agradezco mucho el buen trabajo que hicieron hoy el jurado, que tomó una justa decisión, una buena decisión. Mi hijo no va a volver para atrás, pero por lo menos esos maleantes no van a estar de nuevo a la calle. De nuevo. Muchas gracias.
Le quiero dar las gracias a todos, primeramente a Dios por ayudarnos a conseguir esta justicia y a que esos delincuentes lo arrestaran, y esto nos da seguridad a todos en la comunidad de que no vamos going through to
So now
the
this is
people
part is in
see what
Spanish.
happened with those killers if they continue.
Stop this. I'm going to give you one more clip, guys.
And I'm really happy because I know my son, there is in peace now. And I'm really happy with this decision, the jury.
Hours after the guilty verdict, Junior's dad came to share in the embrace of friends outside the bodega where his son was murdered almost exactly a year ago.
This 1 year really hard for me. My hair is broke. But I'm happy now because we got justice for Junior.
He was the wrong
Justice for
target.
Junior is what the family and this entire community have been working for since June 20th, 2018.
I wasn't gonna have my son back, but those killers, those murderers, they weren't gonna be outside killing another kid. The message going through to the people, see what happened with those killers. If they continue to violence in the city, they're gonna get the same thing.
These 5 young men will pay with their freedom. Junior was stabbed by several members of the Trinitarios gang who were instructed to kill a member of a rival gang. Only they got the wrong guy in this deadly case of mistaken identity.
He never been into any problem in his life until those killers murdered my
Addie's
son.
mom.
We hope that
I'll
the
be
verdicts
talking to you guys in
today
a few
bring
minutes.
some consolation to his family who have endured so much pain.
The details in this emotional trial were incredibly hard to stomach at times, but the family was confident from the start that the jury would be compelled by the overwhelming evidence, including surveillance video that shows how Junior
This is
struggled
them
in his
dragging
final
the poor kid out
moments.
of the
Since the
bodega.
very first day, I was confident because we all saw what happened. We all knew that they was guilty.
Back outside the bodega, friends leave notes on Junior's larger-than-life, brightly painted smile.
That's a mural outside of the bodega.
They are relieved, but also reminded.
Don't pay attention
no
to
matter
that,
how
'cause
much
that
time
has been
passes,
disproved by
no
the
matter
police.
how many victories they
That's-
have along the way, the pain is still
That's
so
been
raw.
disproved by the
We relive it
NYPD
over and over
homicide
again.
detectives.
It's
I'll
never
talk
gonna go
about that in a minute.
9 other gang members have been charged in this case. Junior's family says they won't truly have justice until all of them are found guilty. As for the 5 found guilty today, they will be sentenced next month. It is expected that they'll spend life in prison. From the Belmont section of the Bronx, Jessica Layton, CBS 2 News.
Okay, I got one more video to play for you guys.
You know, what you're looking at here is this is the U.S. really trying to keep up with the Joneses, if you will. You often hear me refer to the European model, right? Well, the European model became...
And of course, the images of
right.
Junior's death
All right,
are very
let me just
disturbing,
stop
and we are
this.
not going to show the most graphic.
Okay, guys. So I'm back. All right. So in regards to what other people saying in the chat, let me just reassure you. As a retired NYPD detective, I went over this case with a fine-tooth comb. There was reports that have been discredited that there was some type of sexual tape involving this poor kid, this victim, and some girl who was a part of the Trinitarios gang, one of the guy's girlfriends. That was not true. There was a 20-year-old guy who called Junior on the night of this murder and asked him for $5. He was playing Xbox. His mother confirms that. His mother says he was playing Xbox inside the house. He told his mom that he was going out to meet his friend to give him $5. And when he lent him the $5 out on the street, these Trinitario gang members were cruising, and they threw out some messages. They threw out some words that he responded. Junior responded by putting his hands up, and apparently that's like some kind of gang sign, and he was mistaken for the very gang members that he was looking for from the Sunset faction of the Trinitarios. So the female setting him up, the girl setting him up, that was an early story that was discredited, and it is not true. That did not happen. He was not set up. This was a mistaken identity. The picture of the guy they were going to kill looks exactly like him. It's almost a splitting image of this kid. If you look at it closely, you're like, oh my God. So they had a photo of who they were looking for, and this kid fit the bill, and they went after him, and he wasn't the one. So even this guy with the Arizona Diamondbacks hat on that became a star witness, the guy Kevin Alvarez, who was the star witness, he said he looked over the counter and realized it wasn't the kid that they were trying to kill, and he backed out. So you could see in the video, I have the full video. I won't show it because it's too brutal. It's too graphic. But in the video that I saw, that guy with the hat looks over the counter where this kid went and jumped over the counter and was hiding. He looked at him, and then he said a couple of words, and then he left. And you see this guy walk out of the store, the bodega, and get in a car, and he leaves. He's like, this is not him. I don't want nothing to do with this. And that's why he testified against the gang. He didn't want to go to jail for the rest of his life after he found out that they killed him. So I'm here to give you guys the correct information on what is reported by my homicide detectives, the very men and women who I worked with in the New York City Police Department for over 2 decades. I got confirmation on this. It was not a setup. There was no girl setting him up. So please, everybody, just take in the information that I'm giving you and just know that it's coming from a reliable source. Okay? He went out to lend his friend $5, and that friend was completely cleared by the NYPD, questioned up and down. They thought he had something to do with setting him up, and he was not set up. No problem, Els TV. My pleasure. And you're always obviously welcome in here on my channel, but when something is said that's not factual, I will call it out. And no big deal. We all get information through the news. But I am boots on the ground here in New York City. This is where I worked for a long time. So, you know, the info that I go live with is all well studied and thought out. I took a long time to research this case. So it's a really bad situation. But the family has justice now. The family has received justice. They now can have closure in knowing that their son's murderer, that guy that plunged that knife that we saw with that red shirt and took the knife and stuck it through his neck and came out the other side, is going to be in jail for the rest of his life. And for that, I'm thankful. I thank the Bronx District Attorney. I thank the detectives, and I thank the 2 gang members that came forward and testified. Their lives are definitely in danger. There's no question about it that we will be reading about these guys someday in the future. And I don't condone violence, but their day will come. These 2 guys that turned on their fellow gang members, and these people are not gonna give up until they get them. So this is going to be something that we'll read about in the future. Mark my words. Thank you, Katrina. Good to see you, Katrina. Yeah, so this was a promising young kid who had a very good future ahead of him. He was aspiring to be an NYPD detective, the very rank that I was. So this hits near and dear to me. I am a father. And coincidentally, I want to just say also, while we're on the father routine here, speaking about fathers, I want to say in advance, happy Father's Day to all the dads out there. Happy Father's Day to the moms who act as dads in bringing up their children. So salute to all the great fathers out there who do the right thing by their families, and the moms who take the place of fathers that are missing in action, that are MIA. Good to see you, New York City, Pat. Hello, Lisa1111. Good to see you. Black Rose, thank you for throwing up those links. Greatly, greatly appreciate that. Yeah, they definitely deserve to rot in hell. There's no question about that, Joey. No question about it. Let me see what else I got here. Thank you, Els TV. Thank you so much for that. Appreciate that. Thank you. I just want to see something. You're welcome, Addie's mom. You're welcome. I just want to play something here.
Hi, everybody.
Okay, I'm going to play a little bit of this. Even though I don't want to, but I'm going to. Okay, I'm going to play just a little bit of this. Hey, Meg's Daily Dose. Good to see you, Meg. How are you, my friend? All right, let's just watch a brief clip here. Let's just watch this for a second. Stand by, everybody. This is just going to be a short clip.
Feliz's murder.
I couldn't saw everything. I just put my head down, and this is a torture, like killing me on life.
Junior's mother said she couldn't look as prosecutors showed footage of the attack from a surveillance camera. It showed the 15-year-old desperate to save himself as the 5 alleged gang members on trial could be seen wildly swinging knives and a machete. Police said the murder was a case of mistaken identity and that the alleged Trinitarios gang members thought he belonged to a rival gang. The trial is expected to last several weeks. In Yonkers, a 15-year-old boy accused of murdering a high school junior has turned himself into police.
All right, so I just had to show that because that shows a really vivid video, although it doesn't show, obviously, what happened. It just shows what they did and how this all went down in pretty graphic high def. So I wanted you guys to see how this poor kid was taken from behind the counter where he was hiding and dragged outside where they did commit this murder. So really, really bad situation. A really horrific act. And I say to myself, the wheels of justice proved, they proved that they work. There's going to be another 9 members of this gang brought up on a trial going forward. These 5 will be sentenced July 16th, and I'll cover that. I'll cover that as well. So another 9 out of these 15 gang members will be tried going forward. Good to see you, Meg's Daily Dose. I hope all's well. Hi, Miss Coley. Nice to see you. Yeah, it's heart-wrenching to see that. I don't even like to watch it, to be honest with you. I don't even like to see it. So, it is what it is. I hope everyone else is doing well. I hope everyone's having a good week. And we are into the weekend now. So I hope the weekend is going good for everybody. All right, listen, guys. I'm gonna end this video. I think we covered it all. Justice for Junior. Share out this broadcast. Send it out to your social media. Hashtag Justice for Junior. I'm going to put the hashtags in my title. I'm going to tweet it on my Twitter page. If you're not subscribed to me here, please subscribe. Leave me comments down in the comment section. Hit the notification bell over there. Also, follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Duty Ron. Everything that I do here is all stuff coming from a retired New York City police detective. I give you the most valuable, valid information that I can give you at the time. I love and respect each and every one of you. I thank you. I know there's many other people you could watch here on YouTube, so I cherish and I thank you for the time that you spend to watch me, because our time is valuable, our time is precious. So the time that you spend here with me, I say thank you to you guys. Thank you for positively interacting. Thank you to my Patreon supporters, anybody who gave Super Chat in the past, in the future, and in the present. I say thank you, and much love and respect from Duty Ron's family to yours. Follow all the great ones in here: Katrina Catress, Erin Leahy, Joey Brooklyn, Meg Lowe from Southern Cal, Sass, how are you, Sassy? Stephanie, good to see you. Thank you so much. Much love and respect. Guys, thank you so much for watching. And until the next video, everybody stay safe. Happy Father's Day to all the great fathers out there. And I will talk to you all very, very soon. Much love and respect from Duty Ron. Have a good night, everyone. God bless.